Left 4 Dead 2, CEDA is the in-game version of the real-life CDC that is tasked with controlling and containing viral infections and diseases. And although in Left 4 Dead 1 these places are not present, in Left 4 Dead 2 there can be found CEDA evacuation centers meant to rescue civilians and attempt to quarantine the infection. However, the infection in Left 4 Dead was found to be next to impossible for scientists and the military to pin down, and as a result, nearly all except for 2, I repeat, 2 located in Georgia, that being the Vanna Hotel from Dead Center and Whispering Oaks Amusement Park from Dark Carnival, were the only evac centers to be successfully evacuated. Literally every other evac center was either overrun by infected or bombed by the military.
Everyone's infected.
These evac centers are pretty jarring to look at, considering just how much worse the infection really was when CEDA attempted to relieve panic by calling it a flu, when this disease ended up infecting millions of humans and turned out to become more terrifying than what anybody could have possibly imagined. In Left 4 Dead 1, in the campaign Blood Harvest on the train station level, there can be found a house on stilts just beyond the safe room. But this is no ordinary house, however, because just inside on the bottom floor, there can be found one of the most gory and gruesome scenes in the game.
Ho, ho, ho.
Some absolute Chad of a survivor looks to have made a protein shake out of the green flu, with nothing but zombie blood, puke, and eyeballs and 20 other parts I don't even recognize stained onto the floor. The blender also appears to be mortally wounded due to the complete and utter testosterone that fueled this disgustingly awesome onslaught. In the campaign Dark Carnival, one of the most exhilarating moments in the second game is being tasked with making it to the safe room running on a damn roller coaster. Now realistically, most people would just climb the chainmail fence and avoid the possible death, but is it really worth missing out on seeing infected just get absolutely railed by the roller coaster? Much like the church from the first game, in Left 4 Dead 2, the passing presents one of the most iconic areas in the series. Just beyond the normal everyday Left 4 Dead playthrough, you find yourself shooting zombified grooms and bridesmaids, all looking fresh as fuck in tuxedos and dresses. Now let's just take this a step further and add, oh, I don't know, a fucking witch bride?
Here comes the bride.
Dressed in what once was an elegant gown, the witch plays the classic role of the bride being left at the altar by her fiancé, who likely ensued the chaos. There's also a PA system that is still plugged in and ready to blast some classic Midnight Riders tunes. Panic events are found in every campaign across both games. Moments where a non-stop influx of infected swarm your group until you make it to the safe room. And although each panic event is unique in their own way, the quarantine zone at the bus station from the parish seems to be the most shocking. Upon approaching the scene, there can be found bodies of infected sprawled across the ground just under a barricade. This may not appear out of the ordinary at first, however, you will eventually realize that the bodies were of normal, non-infected human civilians. The evac center was eventually taken over by the military from CEDA and made the executive decision to shoot all civilians outside the main gates. Just beyond this grisly sight, there is a CEDA quarantine trailer that also spells dead. This trailer beholds the entrance to the main evacuation center, and it's likely that everything had gone well up until the infection caught up to the bus station and the military was forced to take brutal measures. In Swamp Fever, among the eerie and mostly silent swamp forests of Louisiana, there can be found a slightly concerning piece of environment that makes Swamp Fever one of the most immersive campaigns in the series. An Air Force pilot can be found hanging by the unforgivingly tall trees that likely resulted in him becoming a sitting duck. I always found this piece of scenery to be pretty disturbing, as this man likely ran out of bullets while hanging to his demise, having no way to free himself and essentially being turned into a piñata at a Tank's birthday party. In Dead Air from Left 4 Dead 1, you are tasked with fighting your way through an airport devastated by the bombing of the military. This airport is also home to your rescue. A large military aircraft sits just beyond the safe room. A simple plan for most, but what the game has conditioned you to not expect is for another massive airliner to elegantly grace the runway with perfection. This truly is a very major dose of reality. While Left 4 Dead can get you lost in the sauce of slaying infected all day, the game also makes sure that you are still well aware of just how dire the state of the country is in. The Sacrifice DLC was an amazing piece of expansion content for Left 4 Dead. The DLC brought a new campaign as well as a bittersweet piece of lore highlighting the death of Bill. But with the fantastic expansion of the Sacrifice, we were also introduced to one of the coolest scenes in the series. Upon making our way through the docks, a tank can be heard raging.
Get ready. Let's set a trap for this son of a bitch.
but from behind the doors of a crashed train car. It looks as if the military had somehow managed to just bamboozle a tank and just capture it inside of this train car, and you're forced to make the decision to free the tank to get past the wreckage. But this is no ordinary tank, however, as it looks as if this tank seemed to have been under some sort of physical restraint, judging by the 2 leather shackles strapped to his wrists. Another interesting feature of this particular tank is that it appears to possess a tattoo on its left breast, and the tattoo actually looks to be the United States Marine Corps symbol. An interesting detail to note when this particular level takes place on an army reserve as seen in the intro. But by far the most interesting of all is upon viewing the inside of the train car where the tank came out of, we get the whole picture. It looks as if the military had attempted to transport several infected individuals, and it's likely that one of them had inconspicuously mutated into the tank who just naturally ended up killing the other infected trapped in the car.